I'm Takiyah Louise. Thanks for clicking through to view my video on how to make a custom YouTube end screen. Let's get started. The first thing I do is open up iMovie and head to the end of my video where the end screen will be. YouTube shows end screens over the last 20 seconds of video. I'm going to copy this white box and paste it over the last 20 seconds of music I've laid down. This will be my temporary end screen. I then go to File, Share, and File, then rename my project and save it to my desktop. I close iMovie once the video has been exported and open up the Handbrake program, which will change the video from a .mov to an MP4, which is quicker to upload to YouTube. I delete the .mov version to keep my desktop tidy. Next, I open Safari up to YouTube and click the upload arrow in the top right corner. I set the drop down to private and drag my video over. Once processed, I click Done, then Video Manager. I click Edit under my video to open it up. Then click End Screen and Annotations at the top middle part of the page. I make sure that I'm on the End Screen tab, then I click on the Preview Radio button to see that my end screen is just 20 seconds of blankness. That is, until I click Use Template and preview a few. The templates are nice, but I want to do things my way, so I delete the 3 elements by clicking the pencils, then the trash cans. Next, I click Add Element, then Create on the Video or Playlist option. First, I select the most recent upload option. When it appears, I drag it into place. I again click Add Element and then Create on the Video or Playlist option, then select the Best for Viewer option and drag it into place. Finally, I again click Add Element, but this time I choose Subscribe and drag it into place. Once again, I click the Preview Radio button to see how things look. I notice that my Subscribe button shows when I hover over my photo, which is nice. If you're not subscribed yet, go ahead and click that red button to see more tech tip and beauty related videos from me. You can also time when the elements appear. Say for instance, if I push this top one back a bit, my most recent video will roll in last. Now on to the customization part. I click the Preview Radio button again, then hover over my photo so the whole box slides out. I press Command Shift and 4, then drag my mouse around the video window so that I can screenshot it. I minimize Safari, then go to the Google Chrome browser where I have Picmonkey open. I hover over Design, then click Custom Size, type in 1280 by 720 to fit the YouTube player, then Make It. I click the butterfly icon for overlays, then click Add Your Own, and select my video window screenshot. I drag it to fit, then I begin to map out my custom end screen. I click Geometric and select the rectangle. I change the color and opacity in the little overlay pop-up box option. First, I drag the rectangle to fit the top thumbnail. Then I right-click and select Duplicate Overlay for another box. I then drag it over the bottom thumbnail. I again right-click to duplicate overlay, then stretch it to fit the box with my image in it. Lastly, I click the circle, change the color and opacity, then fit it over my photo. I click onto the video window overlay, then delete it. I click the next tab to show you what my previous thumbnail looked like. I just need to screenshot an arrow as I've already taken everything else I want. I then remove the background of the screenshot arrow to make it transparent or PNG. I have a video about how to do this, so click the info card to check it out after this video. Back on the main tab, I click Add Your Own and pull in my logo. I resize it and position it to my liking, then I do the same for my subscribe verbiage and the arrow. I click the T's for the text overlay and add to click the notification bell too. Please be sure you do so as well. And I position it. Then back to the butterfly for overlays, I pull in the bell, change the color, resize, and position it. I right-click over the notification text and duplicate it. I change it to say, "Watch my last video." Resize and position it below the second thumbnail box. I then duplicate that text and change it to say, "Just for you," and resize and position it above the first thumbnail box. I click Add Your Own and select the arrow. I resize and position it, then duplicate it and position the second one. I click Add Your Own and select my social media icons, then resize and position them. I click on the notification text and duplicate it, then type in my social media handle @TakiyahLouise. I resize and position the icons and my handle until I'm satisfied. To be sure they're evenly placed, I click the butterfly icon in geometric and select a rectangle. I change the color and the opacity and line it up, one end to the edge. Then right-click to duplicate the overlay and take it to the other end and edge. I repeat this until I get near perfect spacing. Then I click on the green circle and blue boxes and delete them. My end screen is complete, so I save it to my desktop. I close Google Chrome and reopen iMovie. I drag my music over a bit so it disconnects from the white clip, then delete the white clip. I drag my new custom end screen on top of the music and drag it out for 20 seconds. I click it, then set the style to fit. Once again, I go to File, Share File, then rename my project and save it to my desktop. I close iMovie once the video has been exported and use the Handbrake program, just like before, to get the MP4 version of the video. Then I close Handbrake once done and delete the .mov version to lessen confusion. Like before, I open Safari up to YouTube and click the upload arrow in the top right corner. I set the drop down to private and drag my video over. Once processed, I click Done, then Video Manager. I click Edit under my video to open it up, then click End Screen and Annotations at the top middle part of the page. Then click the Preview Radio button to see my new custom end screen. I need to add the videos in my Subscribe option, so I click Add Element, then Create on the Video or Playlist option. First, I select the most recent upload option and drag it into place. Following those steps, I then select the Best for Viewer option and drag it into place. Finally, I again click Add Element, but this time I choose Subscribe and drag it into place. And I pull each element to the beginning, preview again, and save. And that's it for now. As always, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please comment, like, share, and subscribe. Anything you do is greatly appreciated. And when you subscribe, make sure you hit the notification bell so you'll be notified of each time I post a video. Until the next video, take care.